It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Excited, we gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday.
I'm itching inside. My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I took Deborah, went to the liquor store. I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
Looking forward to the weekend. Day was Thursday. Today it's Friday.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Excited, we so excited. We gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday.
I'm itching inside. My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I took Deborah, went to the liquor store. I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
On WGR, Sports Radio 550.
It is an off day for the Buffalo Bills. They'll be back on the practice field tomorrow morning. We'll get the latest with the Bills, though. Stay tuned. Sal Capaccio going to join the show at 5 o'clock. But it was not a complete off day for the Bills, as the front office had some work to do. They signed cornerback DJ Miller. They've released safety Wande Owens to get that done. And then last night, wide receiver Jalen Virgil was also released, and then they signed wide receiver Dante Pettis. And training camp coverage on WGR, that is presented by Figo Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And by the Barnes Firm. Car crash? You've got to call the Barnes Firm, 1-800-8-MILLION. CBS is putting Tony Romo on leave until further notice following his arrest last week on suspicion of driving under the influence. In the meantime, it's going to be J.J. Watt, who is with Jim Nantz and Tracy Wolfson. Packers tight end Tucker Kraft has been activated off of PUP as he continues to recover from a torn ACL. And the 49ers, they are signing wide receiver Deebo Samuel to a one-year deal. Samuel was previously with the 49ers from 2019 until 2024. Bison's on the road versus Lehigh Valley. First pitch for that one at 6:45. The Yankees are currently underway against the Cubs. It is 0-0 in the bottom of the third. Jays, they're going to host the Cardinals at 7:07, and then at 7:10, the Mets, they are home against the Miami Marlins. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
All right, hang on. Hang on. I'm almost ready. I'm sorry. I had, stuff. I spent an inordinate amount of time preparing for today's show. Mechanically, I guess I would say, because we are going to try, and we should get right to it because we don't have a lot of time with all the guests that I've scheduled on the show. Sammy P at 3:30, Tim Graham, who I know was just on, and you're probably sick of him and bored, but he's going to join me at 4 because I see Tim every day now, but I've never talked to him less. Like we pass, he's got to get out of here, get his crap together, and get out of my spot. And then I get in, and I got to get all my stuff set up, and we never talk. So I'm going to have him on the show at 4 so we can talk, which I'm looking forward to. And then at 5, Sal. Owen Parker is here today in place of G, running the video stream. Zach Jones is here as usual. Mike is off again today. I'm Bulldog. Hi. What I spent most of my time preparing was this grid, this sheet, so that we could draft preseason fantasy football teams, the three of us, Bills only, preseason fantasy football is the idea. And so our viewers can see the hard work I've done here, arduously using the edge of my iPad to draw straight lines across the sheet. And knowing me certainly like Owen does, unfortunately, Zach, you probably know me almost as well as Owen now. I had to do this 3 times because the lines didn't match well enough and it wasn't symmetrical.
Yes.
And that was bothering me. And then I realized when I made copies that it clipped the numbers, but I just said I don't have time. I got ink all over my hands. I'm all askew. And then to cap it off, I get in here, I get this quick switcheroo, right? Graham gets out of here. I got to log in, get all my windows open on my desktop. And the Bills depth chart that I use, I just realized doesn't fit. Like, there's names clipped off at the right edge. And when you're doing a preseason fantasy football draft, you need the names on the right edge of the page.
We need them all.
Because, someone's probably going to pick DJ Moore, but he should not be a high pick.
No, he's not a blue chipper in this
No,
world.
right. So that threw me, and then I logged into a different window to see if I could get it formatted differently, and I saw the name Dante Pettis. And I'm like, I haven't seen that all. I mean, I have this page open every day. I look at it at least for a minute every day. Dante Pettis, is this wrong? What happened? Where's my... And then Zach in the update is like, and the Bills signed Dante Pettis. I'm like, okay. I've got an up-to-date depth chart. I guess we're all good. Anyway, it was a little frantic. I know I can be manic. But anyway, that's what's going on. We're going to... Do you want to play some music while we draft? I think that might be... I should have asked you that earlier instead of wasting all my time drawing straight lines.
With your iPad, which
drawing straight lines that no one is ever going to see but me. But I can't.
He nailed that about as hard as someone could.
He's
like, let me tell you.
Yeah, I said to Zach, you dropped this in my office here. Office might be a little strong. Box, maybe. And I looked at this for 30 seconds, looked up at Zach and said, I'll tell you exactly how he just went in there and did this. He sat there with his iPad and used his iPad as a straight edge for the last 30 minutes to draw this thing out and get us prepared here.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I appreciate your hard work.
I tell you, I'm admiring it myself, even though I'm the one who created it.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I can see the slight waves where your volume button on your iPad case is,
I
though.
think that's
the only imperfections.
Yep, I think that's fair.
So
that's the straightest edge I have ever.
There you go.
I don't. Who has? I thought maybe there's a ruler in the control room. Like, what? Why would there be a ruler in there?
If you came in here and asked for a ruler, you wouldn't have got an answer.
Maybe a protractor.
Yeah.
You gotta
rip one of the blinds off the window. Maybe that would be your bet. It'd be your best
there
idea.
All right. So I also wasted a few minutes of my life trying to figure out a way to decide the draft order. I've never been in charge of anything like this. Like, this is not my. I think most people know this. This is not my lane. Fantasy football. Zach, I'm appointing you in charge of scoring.
Oh, good.
Whatever you. I don't even care. All right, whatever model you want to use,
I did also ask if we were going to be including IDP in the situation today, which I thought might make your head explode if you even knew what that meant.
Individual draft position. I know what
Close.
ADP is, average draft position.
Correct.
I know that.
Correct.
From I basically married to Mike, so I mean I have no choice but to know these things.
You're gonna figure it out at some point, whether you want to or not.
IDP sounds like something I should ask engineering about to me.
That's also fair. I think it's pretty dumb, but it's defensive scoring.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
defensive.
no. Here's the thing. Okay, so we did this a long, long time ago. I don't remember how it was formatted exactly, but preseason, we're a little early. I mean, the Bills have got, we got a little time. They got 15 days until their first preseason game, so we got 2 weeks. But I knew Owen was going to be here today, and I thought this would be a fun thing to do with the two of you and myself. I don't remember how we did it when we did it the last time we did this with Greg Bauk and Mike and myself. But I counted up as of yesterday, and I think it still holds because I think Pettis is in place of somebody, right? Virgil, maybe?
Yeah, Virgil.
Okay. So I counted 28 total skill position players.
Okay.
No kickers because there's only one kicker.
Right.
So that didn't seem
fair.
So I blew that off. So we got 8 rounds here. 3 of us, that's 24. So, I mean, there'll be a couple of guys left over, probably.
Imagine being one of the guys left
over.
over.
If we're smart, Josh Allen will be left over.
Right.
Because I'm thinking if this goes the way it should go, he won't play at all in the preseason, though we do not know that as of now. All right, so anyway, I decided because Owen, Zach, no offense, like, you want your kids to succeed
No, of course.
in life. So I just installed Owen. Plus, he's new here.
He right. He doesn't know how this goes.
He's a guest of the show.
fair.
So I thought he could have the first pick, you could have second, and I'm the old man. But I get the turn.
Get the turn.
1-2.
Look
Turns
out.
big.
All right.
All right.
So without any further ado, we're drafting for preseason games. This isn't training camp. We're not keeping track of who catches what and does what at practices. That just seems insane. I don't think we did that. The other time, I think it was all just based on the games. So without any further ado, up is down, down is up.
Yeah.
In a preseason fantasy draft. Owen, you're in the catbird seat with the 101.
Man, this is tough because I was thinking you would install yourself as 1-1. Just, because I thought that's what you would do. It's your show. I'm deciding between Shane Buechele and Frank Gore right now, which is a fun place to be. Just thinking about that at a 1.1 in a draft. Give me Frank Gore. I think that the other three running backs will all probably touch the ball at some point in the preseason, but I think more than likely Gore will get the majority of the workload, aside from maybe that rookie that they drafted, Wheeler. Give me Frank Gore, 1.1.
I'm remembering how bad my handwriting is. I haven't written anything down in years. I didn't need this today.
I'm going to try to keep a very clean master sheet. So
good.
Hopefully we'll keep track.
Oh, and you scared me. I thought I was going to threaten slashing tires here. I'm going to take Shane Buechele. It's the one guy I wanted. Texas legend, finished his career at SMU.
Yeah, I was also trying to be considerate.
Thank you.
I'm just like that.
Look at him as a guest.
What can I say?
How do you spell Buechele? Just trying to be accurate here,
down to the letter,
and thorough. Okay, I'm on the clock. Whoa! I'm so nervous. Who's this other? They drafted a running back. Okay, Ian Wheeler.
All right.
I'll go Wheeler here. And then Kyle Allen is gonna play a lot. Mm-hmm. I've got the turn here, so this is where my advantage comes in. All my experience should come home to roost here. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna take Allen. I'm gonna take Kyle Allen.
Oh.
Hang on, let me put a big K there. K Allen. Okay.
I'm gonna go Ray Davis. New number. He didn't do much offensively last year. Like, he found his home punt returning, but someone's gonna have to carry the ball.
Kick returning. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a thing in the preseason when the Cook stuff was still a little sketchy. It was like, Ray Davis can take the workload, and then he pretty much didn't do anything in the regular season aside from, special.
And that was late in the year,
which was obviously impactful to get him a first team All-Pro, but not exactly the impact we may have wanted on the offense. All right, well, this is I'm pretty thrilled about this. Give me Skylar Bell here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he is going to be a guy that they're going to want to see a lot of, and also is a rookie, so he's going to play when the other guys don't play anyways. So I feel like he's going to play a lot of the snaps. So yeah, I'm gonna hop right all over Bell there.
Good value there, I think.
I'm very pleased.
The analysts, I think, are going to like. You're gonna get good grades.
I'm gliding at an A right
so
now.
Far.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if Skylar Bell will be in the plans enough to not play a ton in the preseason. I know that sounds insane. He's a rookie and a 4th round rookie at that. So I'm probably wrong on that, but I don't know. I could see a world where he's sort of on over there. Okay, we got plans for you.
Maybe I'm kind of betting on Josh Palmer to stay healthy by taking Bell, because they will not want him out there if he is healthy.
Right.
And because they don't want him to not be healthy anymore because he's never healthy. And that will mean Bell will be out there. And if he's not, then they might hold Bell out because they're like, well,
all right.
So
well, you get
maybe not as comfortable now.
The way this works, you get another one now,
yes,
right?
Okay.
You're listening to live on the scene coverage of the 2026 Buffalo Bills preseason fantasy football draft here on WGR. No longer the voice of the Bills.
I'm gonna jump on Keon Coleman. Mostly because I might have thought that would happen. Just figured I'd get you.
See, sort of the opposite. I almost said his name while I was saying that about Bell.
Yes.
And I stopped myself, like, don't say that because you don't pick yet. But I could see a world where Coleman plays way more than Skylar Bell.
Right.
Oh,
in
I
the
think
preseason.
I think he will play most of the preseason.
I think I have just locked up,
Yes.
I hope, a very solid receiving core for this draft.
See, I wanted to take him instead of Kyle Allen. I really was. I thought it's too soon.
Too soon, yeah.
And maybe you guys are, jamokes enough to not be thinking like I'm thinking. But good job.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, you are on the clock here with your your third pick.
I was really feeling Keon Coleman. I was pretty excited about that. So not thrilled right now. McCole Hardman though, there was just a miss. Allen to Hardman, I think yesterday in practice. We're going to blame the weather. I don't really know where he fits in their offensive plans, so I could totally see most of the games, third, fourth quarter, he's just in there.
Yeah.
I like it. Let's see, we've got 3 running backs gone already. The only 2 left are Cook and Ty Johnson. I'm not inclined to do anything with that. I mean, I've got a running back and a quarterback. It's obvious what my need is here. The app would be telling me to take a receiver. There's no question about that. So, all right, you know what? Who's the dude that just got here? Dante Pettis.
Dante Pettis.
Okay, sure. I'm gonna go ahead and do that here with my first of 2 in a row, and with my second of those. Oh, this guy's still here. Yeah. All right. And he's a slot. And if I'm right about Bell, obviously Shakir's not in the mix. I'm taking Steven Gosnell. I loved him last year. I thought he was going to be like a Hard Knock star because he's got an incredible hard luck story from his senior year of college. I believe it was West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. No, Virginia Tech. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
But he didn't really. It never really popped. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, Gosnell is my pick.
He had like the one moment in camp, right? Like
Yeah.
the deep
Yes.
ball, and it was very
Big bomb.
early.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I thought he was going to be like Mr. I thought he'd be like some version of what Welker was on the very first Hard Knocks.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like or no, not Welker.
Edelman?
No, Hogan. Chris Hogan.
Oh, Chris Hogan.
okay.
7-Eleven.
Sure.
That'd have been fun.
All right, Zach, you're back up.
It's a lot of receivers going already. You know what? Jackson Haas. I know like he has a role, but they've got to have someone go out there and be a tight end. I also wonder too if they're going to want to get him going in the receiving game more.
I like it. I think it's a good sort of hedgy pick because I don't think Kincaid or Knox will play maybe at all, if at all, very little. And sure, I mean, there's a couple other guys, but yeah, Hawes, you make a good point. I wonder if they're going to try to, because obviously his prowess as a blocker is well known. He's on the field. Teams are going to be thinking run, and if they can work him, expand his role in the pass game, that would be, I think, to their benefit. All right, Parker, you're up for 2 here.
All right. I really wanted to get my hands on Jackson Hawes there. I will stick in the tight end room. Give me Knox. Give me Knox. I think he'll play more than Kincaid will. I think, but that's kind of a question mark for me. The Kincaid knee thing, I think, will make me.
I don't think Kincaid's going to play
at all.
At all.
Right.
It'll be the same thing with Palmer of like, no. You
Yeah.
need to stay healthy.
And I've already written down Knox. You're picking Knox.
Yes.
I don't think Knox is going to play either.
Yeah, well.
So this is. I think we've got our first what I would call misstep of the
Might be right.
of the preseason fantasy football draft
right
here on
about that.
WGR. All right, what are you doing at 5 here,
Well,
Big Shot?
I'm out of the quarterback business because the 2 of them are gone, and I'm not taking Allen. So I think I got to go back to running back. Give me Ty Johnson, I guess. I think that makes the most sense here. I think he'll play a little bit. Like I said, I think Gore will get the most, but Johnson will get a few moments in there. So yeah, I'll take Johnson and run.
I'm going to go Trent Sherfield. It's not the same vibes when we first
Like
got
it.
here, and that might
Yep.
be better.
Yep. I got to tell you guys, I had no idea how long this would take, but I think we're going to get through it in the first segment, which
I'm really proud of us.
And then I don't know what we're going to do the rest of the day now.
You never know.
No, we'll analyze it. Is what we'll do.
Great.
Or we'll do it again.
Sounds good.
No, we're not. Don't. Audience, please don't worry. We're not going to do it again.
Don't be scared.
All right. So Sherfield is off the board. My people, my scouts were eyeing him. Sherfield. I feel scooped a little bit there. I'm going to take. I've got two, so I can really
stretch the legs out.
Stretch out here. I'm going to go with Kaleki Latu, who I do think will play a ton in the preseason, unlike the tight end my dopey son just drafted. So, okay, Latu at 5 and at 6. What have I got? I've got Pettis and Gosnell already at receiver.
My initial reaction is go gross, but then I think that might be good for this.
That might
Yeah,
work.
no, I know, right? No, I'm not. I wasn't complaining.
No, it's just funny to not be.
Right. Quentin Skinner, come on down. I don't know. No idea.
That's okay. That's a guy.
It was him or a fullback, basically, is what
I'm
I was.
eyeing the fullbacks up right now, too.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you got to be.
It's just
That's how that's how this goes.
The roster I have, Skinner doesn't even have a number yet, so I love that. That's good. Nice little late round steal, doesn't have a number yet.
there you go.
I've got him in 38 on my depth chart.
As a wide receiver?
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
I want to rescind. Can I? It's too late. Roger Goodell already read the
I've already written it in red pen.
38.
Yikes.
Mark Kelso is playing receiver. Sound a little older. Why don't you? All right, Zach, you're up for your 6th pick. You're listening to continuing live coverage on the scene. We're here in studio of a preseason Bills fantasy football draft. Gripping. I can feel it.
Oh, this is Prestige Television and/or radio. Jamari Macklin. Do we have him on our roster?
I've got him.
Perfect. Going
Yeah,
for him.
I
He has
see
a wide receiver number.
With a receiver number, dude, 84. Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, I am going to take one of the aforementioned fullbacks. Give me Jackson Acker
Okay.
here. And I may be so ashamed of my Dawson Knox pick that I go back to the tight end room. Maybe, yeah, I think I'm going to do that.
Shane Zylstra.
That's the one.
That's why you take him. That kind of name
That's
right there.
exactly right. Yeah, Shane Zylstra. I'm going to go with Zylstra is my guess. Zylstra. Zylstra.
I'm glad
Shane.
you went to the fullbacks because I didn't really know which one was maybe going to be starting or not. So I'm like, somebody just take the first one.
Took a shot, so.
So Ben Van Summeren.
Yep.
That's where I'll go.
Damn it! I'm locked out of the fullback business.
Had to jump on it earlier than you thought.
No, that's a bad break for me. Hang on, it's going to take me a while to spell Van Summeren here, because again, it is imperative that this be everything be spelled correctly, because no one is ever going to see these. So everything has to be meticulous. You got that, everybody? Okay. All right, I'm up for my last two. Oh, what to do? Hey, Paige, I did not need you to refresh right then. Unless there's like there's new material here.
Right.
Well, let's see. All the tight ends are gone. Well, except for Kincaid, which I'm not.
there still,
I'm not
but,
doing.
Yeah.
Boy, we are really in it now.
Oh yeah. When you came in here and showed me this, and there were 8 names, I was like, "What?"
I got nervous.
And here we are, and we're almost there. But
okay, Max Tomzak is my second to last. Is that CZAK? Okay. That's another wide receiver, folks, who is in training camp with the Bills. So, all right, yeah. Mac Delana, has he been picked already?
Former Chief.
Okay. There we go.
That was going to be my last pick, so thanks for that.
Well, it's getting pretty thin here.
It sure is.
All right, there's my team. How's it look? Okay. Zach, you're up for your final pick.
I'm going to take a swing here just to see, maybe the second game, starters play a little bit longer. I'll go Josh Palmer.
Okay.
Scary. That's scary is what that is.
You know what? In an 8-round preseason fantasy football draft, I often see people take a player that's a regular starter first on the depth chart late just as a flyer. You never know.
Yeah,
in the research done, you saw a lot of that.
I mean,
the magazines have whole paragraphs.
Yeah,
I see.
I mean, he gets on the field in that game and catches one 60-yard pass. Like
That's all I need.
You might have the yardage leader for the preseason. All right, Owen, put a cap on this disaster.
I gotta pretty much pick a starter, kind of here.
I think that's right. I don't think
pretty
there's
much
any.
true.
Yeah.
I need another receiver, so who will play more? Shakir or Moore? Probably. Let's do Moore. Give me DJ Moore. I think maybe just chemistry building. They'll get him 4 more snaps than
All
Shakir.
right. Well, there you go, everyone.
Still...
It's done. We made it. We almost kept it within the framework of the segment. We're just like a minute or so late, which is, I think, pretty remarkable. I will pin this to the wall, and we will keep track. And I don't know. We don't really have any stakes here, so who needs to gamble on this? All right, let's hit up a timeout. I am the Bulldog, by the way. Glad to have you all with us. Zach, Owen Parker on the video stream today. We'll hit a timeout, and our buddy Sam Panayotovich, Sammy P, will join us from Chicago. I think he was supposed to be with Mike, but I don't think they're together. We'll get an explanation of what's going on there because Mike is in Chicago. That's where Sam works now, and at Fox 32 in Chicago. And Mike is there for this national card show, which is a massive event. Anyway, Sammy coming up next. Tim Graham at 4. I'm the Bulldog. Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for listening to WGR. All right, already hitting our groove here on a Friday afternoon. Glad to have you along for the ride with us. I am the Bulldog. Mike is away. He'll be back on Monday, God willing. Joining us now on the West Her Hotline from Chicago, where Mike is enjoying a couple of days off, is our buddy Sam Panayotovich. Sammy P. What has happened here? You weren't you and Mike supposed to go to a ball game or something?
Mike failed.
He's just so. What did he tell you? The show is too great.
At a card show.
Right, he can't.
No, he's at a card show. He's making money. I get it. He's in town. He sent me a bunch of pictures of all these autographed cards he's got. And I will say there's a very big card show in Chicago today. It's called the National.
Yeah.
And he sent me the Rolodex of people.
Yeah.
It's like Jay Cutler, Ric Flair. Yeah, like the list goes on. And it started, I think, at 11 in the morning, and it goes until 7. I think Mike wanted to get to Wrigley, but if we're being honest, he bailed on me, Bulldog.
Yeah, well, he got seduced by Ric Flair, I guess. Yeah, we went. There's huge names at this thing. Among them, 101, soon to be 101-year-old Marv Levy is signing. I think that might be tomorrow. I don't have we ran through the whole schedule, but like the names are, yeah, it's massive. When he told me Jay Cutler and Ric Flair as like a tandem, I made a noise because it was just such a funny combination to me. But I also heard there's like, it's one of these things, I don't know that this is actually the case, okay, but like Derek Jeter, Tino Martinez, Flava Flav, and Chuck D. Like that's a panel.
I believe it. I mean, it's a who's who, honestly. And I just want you to know also, let me just set the record straight. I got off a train. I got on the train at Wrigley about 30 minutes ago, and I had to get off the train to do this hit because I can't do it from a train. And it is pouring rain in Chicago. So I'm walking in the rain to do this hit. If you ask me to pull up odds, I literally can't, Bulldog, because my phone is wet. My phone doesn't work. I can't swipe up, down, left, or right. So I can do my best here. That's what
Well, if you have to bill me for a new phone, lose my number. Sam Panayotovich from Chicago with us. I wanted to start here, actually. I won't bug you with odds, but I wanted to think, as a Red Sox fan and just a general on behalf of all Yankee haters everywhere, I want to thank your White Sox for managing to pull out, really steal those last two games of that series, because the Yankees won the first two, and then Chicago came back to win in extras on Wednesday night, and then yesterday afternoon they got a bases loaded walk in extras to win. And anytime the Yankees can go down, I'm pretty happy.
Well, I'm glad to help. I had nothing to do with it, but I can also, let me double this down. On this station in February and also in March, I don't know how many times we talked about betting the White Sox over the win total at 66.5. They are 57 and 51 right now. If they don't get there, that would be the worst beat of all time.
Yes, I think that's right. They're 10 wins from cashing, and there's what are we talking about? 70 games or something left, probably, right?
50 to go. 54 to
only.
go.
Okay, well, that's later than I thought, but still, yeah, I like your chances of getting that done. Are they? Is there any chance they're in on Scooble? No, right? Like that's the big thing everybody's watching here going through the weekend. Is the trade deadline is on Monday, and Detroit is, I would think, sitting back and just waiting for the best offers to come pouring in on Scooble. I cannot imagine a scenario where they keep him. I suppose they could, but I think it would be nuts. I know there's no odds you couldn't find him anyway because your phone's drowning. Nowhere, I guess maybe Kelce, but I'm not going there. But it's a huge deal, Scooble. You got an idea? You think that like the rich get richer type of deal, and like the Dodgers do it or something?
So actually, they do have odds on this. You can't bet this in America, but you can bet it offshore in the islands. And not that I would ever wink, suggest that, but they do have a market on where will Tarek Skubal pitch. I think like after August 3rd or whatever.
Okay.
And believe it or not, the Cubs are favored at even money right now.
Ooh.
So it's not the White Sox, it's the Cubs who are favored. Of course, the Dodgers are always dangerous. You look at the standings right now, Bulldog, they're 51 and 58. They're 6.5 out of the division. They're 4.5 out of the wild card. They're not dead, but I also don't know that they have enough to climb over both of those mountaintops.
Right.
They're not winning the division. Could they sneak into the wild card? Sure. but then Scooble is going to leave you in the offseason. So I think it's very clear now that they're not, be 7 games under 500. It's tough to hold on to a guy that you could get a lot for. But no, there is a market. You could bet this in like Costa Rica. I think Tarek Skubal now even money plus 100 to go to the Cubs of all teams.
That's. I thought you couldn't find odds. Would you have that memorized?
I am. It's the autism. The autism kicks in from time to time, Bulldog.
You are doing God's work out here. Sam Panayotovich, Fox sports reporter from Chicago, and odds analyst. How do you like to be referred to? Are you odds wise guy? Odds analyst. That sounds better. Odds analyst. How's that? Does that sound
You're
good?
the wise guy. When I got hired at Fox in 2020, they said betting expert. I said, can we please not do that? Can we do betting analyst? Betting analyst sounds so much better.
Yes. Yeah, there's less. You're going to get heat no matter what, of course, in your line of work. But like expert, I feel like you're asking for it if you slap expert on.
No doubt.
Well, I think like a month ago, you might remember, maybe it was even longer ago than that. One of these Fridays when I was alone, because that's how it is in the summer, Mike and I just sort of take turns going on vacation through July and August. I know I texted you. I wanted to talk about teams, baseball teams that are sort of outside, look like they're maybe dead in the water, but like long shot chance to maybe squeeze into the playoffs. And we never ended up having that conversation. And I sort of wish if we had, I might have talked about the Red Sox with you then and maybe would have done something. And now it's just way too late because I don't think they're going to cruise to a playoff spot. But, I mean, they've been the hottest team in baseball going back to when they swept the Yankees, which was, I think, before the 4th of July maybe or around then anyway. But is there anybody out there that you think, you just talked about Detroit, I don't think they can do it. I think maybe we'll see if he's still there. Understandable. He's in a downpour. His phone is getting drenched. Apparently he couldn't or wasn't smart enough to find cover. Sam, so we got him back? Okay. Sorry, Sam, we clipped you off there. We've been having some phone troubles. I was just talking about baseball teams that maybe could still squeeze in. Is there anybody that's interesting to you?
I heard you, by the way, and then my phone got blue balls, I think, in the rain, Bulldog. I apologize for that. Red Sox, by the way, minus 300 to make the playoffs right now. If you would have made that bet 3 weeks ago, they're probably 4-1, 5-1.
Yeah.
On the plus side. So now you got to lay 3 to win 1.
Right.
Not a great time to be late to the party. I still think Miami can do it. The Miami Marlins are currently like 5-1 to make the playoffs. That's a really good young team. They've had sort of a downswing recently, but if you're I think at the end of the day, we're all trying to bet a little to win a lot. It's the Red Sox now. You want to bet 300 and win 100?
No fun.
You want to bet 100? You want to bet 100 to win 500? I'm interested.
That's usually how it works. Yes, my betting motto is I'd rather lose $10 than win 12. So
I think that's a decent bet. So 10 to win 50 on the Marlins. I don't think that's the worst idea in the world.
Yeah. One last thing before we let you go and go on with your Friday afternoon here is NFL division winners. Is there? And I know you don't have odds in front of you, but I do. Is there any team, and you probably have looked at this enough that you have a general idea of where teams are slotted anyway, that you like that's like somewhat of a long shot? Because I've got one team that I found that I think could be interesting, and I kind of like the number. But do you have anyone top of mind for that question?
I think a long shot's the Giants in the NFC East at 6-1. I just don't disagree, or I disagree personally with that price. I'm a fan of Harbaugh. I always have been. He always has his teams ready. Look, they're going to be so much better on special teams because that's his bread and butter, right? John Harbaugh was a special teams coach, and he's always been very good at that everywhere he's been. He was in Philly for a long time doing special teams. The Ravens were always one of the best special teams in the league. The Giants have perennially been one of the worst. So you add Harbaugh there. I'm not sure how I feel about the quarterback yet. I think their defense certainly has some question marks. But at 6-7-1, I don't think the Giants are the worst idea. You asked for a long shot, so understand it's probably not going to win. Let me just say that it's probably not going to win, but it's 7-1 to win a division. That division. I mean, go back and look at how crazy that division has been the last 25 years.
Right.
I believe there's been like one time.
I think just last year.
Won it back-to-back years.
Yeah.
So there's always insanity in the NFC East. I would throw a little bit on them. My second answer would be Minnesota at 5-1 in the North.
Okay. My answer to that is in your initial division. I was thinking about Washington. I see them at almost plus 470 is the number right now at FanDuel. And I know like the bottom just fell out of that team last year, but they looked like they were on the way. Maybe that was just an all-time fluky year, Daniels' rookie year. But they were so good that first year, and he had a very uneven health-wise year last year that I could see. Plus, I don't really trust Philly, and I'm pretty bullish on Dallas. But looking at the numbers, I feel like Washington was my answer to that. Do you have any respect for that?
I do. Well, I mean, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I mean, for them to be like in the bottom 10 in the league to win the Super Bowl is a massive slap in the face. And this time last year, Jaden Daniels was like the fifth guy on the board to win the MVP.
Right.
He was behind Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, and Jackson. And then it was Jaden Daniels. And now he's a lot deeper, of course. But, I mean, how do we knock a guy for being hurt? Like, what did he play, 5 games last year, 6 games? So, yeah, I think we're in the same ballpark. I think we're both kind of shorting the Eagles. And you're on the Commanders. I think that Giants price at 7-1, though, is way too high.
Yeah, I hear you there. So what does one? Are you getting together with my partner later on? Like what does one? Where does one take a visitor in Chicago? You got to go out for steaks or something? Like what's the go to?
I know where I would take Owen Parker. I don't know where to take Mike Schopp because like that's the guy who says like chicken wings are all the same. So I don't know what to do with that. Probably take him for some pizza, I would guess, but he might sleep at that card show, Bulldog. I don't know.
It's very possible that he will. All right, Sam. Thank you for braving the elements for us. We always appreciate it. And I mean, you're like the postman of this show. You just never. Last year, I remember I had you on with from a golf cart with drinks flowing, and you're there at your appointed time. It's admirable, Sam. Thanks for this.
Thank you, buddy. I'm soaking wet, just so you know.
Okay. I'm not going to feel bad. I'm going to forget all about it. He hung up, and I'm done with it. Sam Panayotovich from Chicago, Fox Sports, I think 32, Fox 32, is the outlet in Chicago, betting analyst. That works. Yeah. What did I want to call him? Betting, I don't even know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, all right, let's hit up a timeout. We've got Tim Graham coming up at the top of the hour, Sal Capaccio a little after that at 5 on the Bills as we're into training camp, but only 2 days in, and they got a day off already? What am I going to ask Sal? Why did I schedule Sal? I need an assistant. I'll take a break. Back after this. I'm the Bulldog. Mike's away today, in case you couldn't tell. This is WGR. I'm so disappointed in myself. Oh, again. We just talked to Sam, who's in Chicago, works in television in Chicago, and I forgot to bring up to him. Maybe he would have felt funny talking about it because it's a competitor, and like, you know, maybe they're all pals. You know, they all have some sort of secret handshake and some like closed off Scooby-Doo entrance cigar bar that all the TV people go to and like laugh at all of us peons that work in radio. But I tweeted this last night, retweeted it. This Chicago WGN Morning News in Chicago yesterday ran a story about the 49ers coach, Kyle Shanahan, who's in a car accident, and there's been some, I guess the story has risen to the level where a morning news show in Chicago, not even a sports show, just like a news show, was doing a story about like the accident happened quite a while ago. There was some media that knew about it, but the 49ers wanted to keep it quiet, so they did, and then it all came out, and people were like, well, why were people keeping it quiet? Why you cooperate? It's a news story. Anyway, there's been this big debate within like journalism and whatever, right? So this TV show in Chicago, a morning news show on WGN Chicago, was doing the story, and they're running a bunch of file footage of Kyle Shanahan. Here's Kyle Shanahan walking onto the field. Here's Kyle Shanahan in a big San Francisco 49ers jacket. Here's Kyle Shanahan presumably calling a play. And then they've got a still photo of him, but it's the image that has been everywhere from Mitch McConnell's hospital bed, where he's sitting there with his wife at his side, and somebody just put Kyle Shanahan's face on Mitch McConnell, and it's his wife. It's well done. I mean, it's Kyle Shanahan, and it doesn't look like a head cropped on a different body. Like it's good work. Like you'd be easily deceived.
Aside from the fact that the story was about how he had 40 zips on his face, he looks totally fine in this photograph.
Aside from that, and aside from the fact that this photograph has been absolutely friggin' everywhere for like a month now. Right. I cannot believe that they got on television.
It's really amazing.
You video people, Owen.
We're terrible.
You got to get it together.
We don't check our work.
All right, we'll hit a timeout here. Tim Graham after this on WGR.
Sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time.
Day for the Buffalo Bills. They'll be back on the practice field tomorrow morning. We'll get the latest on the Bills. Stay tuned. Sal Capaccio going to join the show at 5. And stay tuned. Tim Graham going to join the show next. It was not, though, a complete day off for the Bills. They did sign cornerback DJ Miller, and to do so, they have released safety Wande Owens. And training camp coverage on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, you've got to call the Barnes Firm, 1-800-8-MILLION. CBS is putting Tony Romo on leave until further notice following his arrest last week on suspicion of driving under the influence. In the meantime, it will be J.J. Watt who slides in to work with Jim Nantz and Tracy Wolfson. Packers tight end Tucker Kraft has been activated off of PUP. He continues to recover from his torn ACL. And then after spending some time with the Patriots coaching staff helping them out to start camp, former NFL wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is expected to join Georgia Tech as a member of the offensive staff. Then over in baseball, Bison's on the road versus Lehigh Valley. First pitch for that one is at 6:45. The Yankees are currently underway against the Cubs. New York does lead that game at 2-0. The bottom of the 7th. The Jays are going to host the Cardinals at 7:07, and then at 7:10, the Mets, they're home against the Marlins. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I look like a delivery guy. I got this purple hat in the mail yesterday.
You're matchy.
And I got a purple shirt I'm seeing on the video now, and I look like I work somewhere. The purple shirt, I look like I should be driving a truck.
It's Mike Schopp
Like Grimace.
Right.
Oh, Grimace doesn't wear a purple hat.
No, but
in fairness to
but
Grimace.
there's a lot of purple.
and the Bulldog.
I mean, I don't think I'm shaped entirely that similar to Grimace.
That's right. That's
it's
fair.
closer than I'd like, and the clothes could get you there.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I'm not body shaming Grimace. I'm just saying, they're a big thing.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
I think I'm not body shaming Grimace goes like, it's very high with favorite things maybe I've ever said on the radio. I'm very happy with how that came out. Welcome back in. I'm bragging. I'm Bulldog. Mike has been away here. Owen Parker on the video today. Zach Jones hanging out. We welcome now on the West Her Hotline the Athletics, Tim Graham, which is how I want to introduce you until I don't know, we probably should talk about this off the air. Do you work here now or what? Like what is going on with you and Brad?
Well, I get paid. I've been getting paid, so technically I do work there in some fashion. Is it official? I don't know. Is it how about this? Is it permanent?
Well, what is permanent?
I guess that's it.
Tim? That's especially in
Nothing
our business.
is permanent.
It's a volatile business. I don't know.
That's a fact.
Well, I was.
Hey, do you know what Grimace is? Do you know what creature Grimace is?
Purple blob is all I've ever had there. I don't know. No.
Grimace is actually something. Grimace is a taste bud.
Get the.
I'm not making that up.
What?
I'm not making it up.
Come on.
I'm not making it
is that
up.
somewhere in like the McDonald's? Is that in like?
That's not even a rumor. Like that is official McDonald's record. That is in the McDonald's Bible, as it were.
Okay, that's what I was going for that. The manual, you become
according to Mayor McCheese, I think is
you become a manager of a McDonald's. You get a manual, and it tells you what everybody is, and that's what it says. Okay. Well, I was joking earlier here, Tim, that I wanted to have you on the show, even though you were just in here from 1 to 3 with Brad, because I feel like as much as I'm seeing you now, I feel like I've never talked to you less. Because I see you every day, but it's always you're just collecting your junk, and I'm putting my junk down, and then you're out the door. And it's not really an opportunity. It's kind of frantic on both sides. You want to get out of my way because I'm impatiently waiting behind you for you to clear your stuff, and so you want to, and I want to get in and log into my stuff. And so we haven't had a conversation the whole time you've been working here, I don't think.
You can even drill down that we're not even in the same space. We use the same chair and the same microphone. So therefore,
There's that thing that happens with the phones. You want to just pick up and reset Tim Graham for us here, because we've been having some difficulty frequently here this week with these phones, and I don't want to say anymore. I'll get in trouble if I keep talking. So we've got Tim back here, hopefully. Sorry about that, Tim. You dropped out for a second. I don't know if that's been happening to you guys as well, but I think we got you back here. Where were we?
Don't get any calls.
Well, us either. It's guests, though, that happens with. So you know where I wanted to start with you, and I don't know. I feel like I heard maybe you or Brad reference this, but I didn't hear it entirely on your show. Do you think people are right to be concerned? Have you seen the Alec Anderson clip talking about Joe?
Oh yeah, we played it.
Okay, right. Okay, I thought you would. Should people be a little worried about how that, if you don't know what we're talking about, maybe you know even better than me what actually he says, but it's like, talk about the difference between, Joe Brady being the head coach now and what's different from what was in the past. And Alec Anderson is, it's kind of like when your uncle comes over and lets you do things your parents won't let you do. Right? Is that the gist of it?
Your young uncle who's maybe just a few years older than you. And Brad had some examples of this. Like, he had a couple of uncles who were just a few years older than him, and those were the ones who told the dirty jokes, who maybe showed him, like would sit down and watch Jackass with him, or say the things or do the things that give you kind of this approval that an adult is in the room, or somebody older than me giving you permission to kind of be to break the rules or to color outside the lines.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that Alec Anderson is saying, I don't think he's being necessarily literal there, but it builds on the thought of in which we got this vibe during minicamp and in OTAs, all that stuff. Like it's this vibe like there's a substitute teacher and you can maybe get away with a few things. And I don't know that necessarily means what is recklessness or all the rules are out the window and anything goes. But I think the departure of Sean McDermott, who was such a fastidious, down to the detail, every little thing, and a lot of people said that maybe it was left. Maybe he was a little tightly wound. The people around him would therefore get a little tightly wound, and that maybe this frees up people to be themselves a little bit more. I don't know whether we're reading too much into it or not, but it is something to keep an eye on, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a certain way, I think McDermott, his way, gave you, I think, a baseline where you could be comfortable with what your floor was. We know that their ceiling was consistently not limitless. It wasn't getting to the Super Bowl or even, certainly winning the Super Bowl, which you have to get to win. But I do think there is room to improve on McDermott's style while not losing the order. Like, I guess what you got to hope for is that maybe the players know enough now how to sort of police that, and maybe they can handle it, and it's not a thing where you've got a young team that's going to just go like the Miami Dolphins of a couple years ago kind of thing.
Well, we got a glimpse of that aspect of building off of what Sean McDermott laid as a foundation with Jim Leonard's news conference yesterday, in which he raved about walking into a meeting and thinking that he was going to be rolling out some introductory type things about how we do things around here. And as soon as he starts playing some tape, the players are yelling out in the meeting room exactly what formation they're in, doing the calls. And he was like, whoa, I've never been a part of anything like this, where everybody was just on alert, ready to go, pencils in hand, at the start of class type stuff. And he was blown away by that. And I think that that's what McDermott, like you mentioned, the floor being pretty high. And Jim Leonard saying, all right, well, we can maybe fast forward things quite a bit here with this group because they are ready to go, so ready to go that he's ever seen. And he's coming from a team that just went to the AFC Championship game last year under a veteran head coach in Sean Payton. But the other thing that, I point to with Sean McDermott and this belief, and you should, the optimist, if any Bills fan looks at this change or anybody who wanted change, a new voice, all these types of things, is this belief that all the things that the Bills were lacking in, Joe Brady and his staff can correct. Well, what they need to do is not slip in any of the other things that Sean McDermott did well.
Right.
And that's, I think, what we need to really pay attention to. And he was just his routine, the thing about routine. And I think maybe Sean McDermott at his best was going back a few years when there was the blizzard that sent the Cleveland game to Detroit. And they ended up playing what was, even though they were the home team for that game, 3 road games in 12 days because they had to play on Thanksgiving. Again, they played the Lions, and they played again after that, and they won all 3 games. And I went back and looked, and it's something that had never been done in NFL history to win 3 road games in the span of 12 days. And just because he was able just the preparation, the routine, focus, getting guys to block out distractions, getting guys in the right frame of mind. He was, I think, a master at that, and which is why he was able to help turn a team from a perennial loser into a perennial winner. Of course, Josh Allen plays a big part in that, but the culture and trust the process and all that stuff was real, and it mattered. And so the new coaching staff needs to maintain that. It's not just enough to fill in to the spackling of the things that maybe crumbled a little bit or had some holes. You still need to make sure that everything else is polished and ready to go, as it always has been.
Tim Graham of The Athletic, and I'm just going to say it, WGR Sports Radio 550 on the West Her hotline with us here on a Friday afternoon. The Bills are 2 days into training camp. Today is an off day. They practiced in the rain the last 2 days. You know, something I've been wanting to ask you, and this is probably would have been better off the air, but whatever, we're here. Because I'm not looking to stir anything up. I'm just sort of curious because obviously, I mean, the choice has been made. The decision was made back in January. They were moving on. You've been around this team for a while now, and even this year, even though we're only 2 days into camp, you were around for OTAs and mini camp. Have you gotten anyone? I obviously don't need a name here. That is sort of like. Yeah, it felt like they kind of did McDermott dirty. Like anyone in the organization at all? Or is it just everyone just in lockstep, full speed ahead?
A lot of, well, I don't want to say a lot of people, but yes, I guess is the answer to that.
Okay.
There are a lot of people who don't like what's been happening necessarily. And that's not just from the Brandon Beane consolidation of power. But, you know, there's some, you know, and I've mentioned this, so I'm not telling tales out of school or anything that I haven't, mentioned before. But, you know, I've heard from some people in the front office who were put off by the fact that they don't call it Buffalo anymore or Western New York I guess nearly as much as they used to. It's the market, you know, because that's Southern Ontario and it's Toronto. And there are a lot of people around the building who are kind of skeeved out by it, you know, like, hey, we're all about the market and doing all these things that are very marketing and branding and establishing different things that aren't necessarily what have been done in the past. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just like there's kind of people giving a little side eye, you know, about what's going on. They're holding their breath a little bit. They want Joe Brady to work. They like Joe Brady. And there are some people absolutely who are breathing a sigh of relief that Sean McDermott has left the building. But I think that the way it happened, the series of, and you're talking about since January, but the Terry Pagula press conference was an embarrassment. And then a lot of the off the field stuff, even the rollout. And I feel, a little bit bad for Joe Brady that they've had, you know, everything from, you know, the PSL practice to the Nickel City uniforms to even, you know, people doing petitions for OJ. And there's just been the off season has for a team that has Josh Allen in a brand new stadium that's about to open. It's been a really peculiar and just bizarre off season of missteps. I mean, this is a team that should, you know, goodwill and excitement should be like getting wet falling out of a boat, but they just keep stepping on rakes all over the place. And I think that's just everybody's now like, oh man, I mean, can't we just relax and enjoy this football team? And I don't think that the fan base and even some of the people in the building have gotten there yet.
You know, on the fan base, I want to get back to Brady because you had a piece this week, and I know you sat with him, and so I'm going to want to get into that before we run out of time. But, you know, I talked yesterday a lot about, the outside, you know, the Vegas, the odds, like AFC favorite to win the Super Bowl, and my sense is that is not really matched right now by the fan base. That there's some – I don't know, uneasiness, maybe that's too strong, some fatigue, if that's maybe better. I wonder if any part of that is related to the new stadium. And I don't say that because of PSLs or the cost or the practices. I just mostly mean like new. It's new, it's different. I'm sure people will love it once they're there and they get into their new routines, but there's going to be a lot of new stuff. And your routine from years gone by is, might be, forgotten about. You're going to have to find a new thing. And that can create unease, even if you're not even thinking that's why you feel uneasy. It can still sort of be there. And I wonder if that makes any sense to you.
It does. Because, I mean, as magnificent as this stadium is going to be, and it will be, it is magnificent. It is, it's amazing. It's almost a borderline miracle. It should have happened a while ago, but around here it feels like a miracle, right? That this got done. But it's going to feel like road games, I think, probably for the team a little bit. It's going to, except for the young guys who, weren't overly used to having played at the Ralph, but they're going to need a little time to get used to this new stadium. I don't know that it's going to impact really how they play from a game-to-game basis, but even as fans, it's going to be jarring to look down on that grass field and see everything that's just a little bit different, and the layout and just how the fans and all the TV views, even if you're watching at home on TV, you know where, oh, that's exactly where that is on the stadium. They're at the 20-yard line. You could probably you could tell exactly where they are, even if you don't know the down and distance or you could be like, all right, and you just know it. And now every time probably takes until October before it feels like home. Anyway, you're like that when you move into an apartment or a new house or anything like that. But I think to the point about the betting and the national view is, I think at this point in the off season, well, any point in the off season really, you might as well just replace the logos and put the quarterback's mugshot up there. It's like, it's Josh Allen, and people their confidence in the Bills are based on Josh Allen and the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, and go down the line because it seems a little simplistic. But that's the way it is, because all of the different lists, and again, they're lists, off-season lists are what they are, but every list is coming from a different authority. The ESPN.com lists of the best players at every position were by executive scouts and coaches. The NFL top 100 is voted on by players. And then I saw a Pro Football Network list in which it was all analytics. It's based on just metrics. And the consensus is the Bills are Josh Allen, James Cook, and then Deion Dawkins might make one of the list here or there, but not most of them. And that's it. And so that's the thing that is, and that goes back to, Brandon being built the roster that gets Josh Allen what he deserves. And, I was talking with a national reporter, and it was two guys talking, so I don't want to name anybody or have you reverse engineer, what camp he was at or what he was talking about. But this was a team that does not have as good of odds in Las Vegas as the Bills do to win the Super Bowl. And he had just come from a camp and was talking with another executive. And the question was, all right, Josh Allen's clearly the number one. He's like, hey, I'm going to Buffalo. And, all right, let's talk about the Bills. And it is, Josh Allen's clearly the number one player, but how many players on this field would be the Bills' number two player? And the answer was 7 or 8. And I'm not going. It's kind of okay. We kind of know that to some degree, but when you hear somebody say it like that, and it's like, there's a big drop off. And is this? And that's the, I don't want to say age old, but it's at least the 7-year-old question. Is Josh Allen have enough to help him get what he deserves?
Right. Tim Graham from The Athletic and WGR on the West Her Hotline for a few more minutes. All right, I managed to save time. Your piece on Brady, sitting with him, what are your – I mean, I read the piece, but your impressions of him. What is there anything that didn't make it that you'd like to share? Because I think there's so much focus on him, and he's walking into a situation that the organization has made, for him, the way he was hired and the way Pagula spoke at the news conference when they dismissed McDermott just tells you their expectation is the Super Bowl. How do you feel like Brady is sitting with all that?
I think he's sitting fine with it. And I think that I believe him when he says he doesn't feel any pressure. He's just taking it one day at a time. And I think he's been in the profession long enough to know what it takes to get through a week, let alone a month, let alone an entire season of football. And he's done it well, and he has a good resume. But it is unfair, and he's not going to admit that it's unfair. But here's a first-year coach who has no leash. Well, hang on. I don't want to say he has no leash, because he does have a leash. He's not going to get fired if the Bills don't. Let's say the Bills don't even make the playoffs. I'm just saying I'm going near catastrophic here. He's not losing his job after one season. It's not win or else for Joe Brady. But it's unfair that he needs to pretty much match what McDermott did last year, or it will be considered a failure. At least that. And even if he does match it, even if the Bills get to the divisional, you could argue, well, what was the point? He didn't get better. So does he need to get to the AFC Championship game for it to be a success? No. The Bills believe they have a Super Bowl roster, as evidenced by promoting Brandon Beane, as evidenced by Terry Pagula giving off those 7 seed numbers like it was a phone number to call for flooring. We were like, what is this? The 7? Are we supposed to start dialing our phones? But whatever it was, he kept talking about how the Bills have enough, and Sean McDermott didn't get it done. Now, here's Joe Brady, first-time head coach, and now you go do it. And I think it is unfair to him, but he's not going to turn down the job, and he's not going to admit it's unfair to him. But I think a lot right now is stacked up against him early, and maybe he does it eventually. But I hope that at some point he gets some grace for his sake and for Bills fans' sake too. But if this is to work, I just don't see it happen immediately. There's a learning curve. He's young. His defensive coordinator, who's doing it for the first time in the NFL, is 43, and Joe Brady's 7 years younger than him.
Yeah.
Joe Brady is closer in age to Josh Allen than he is Jim Leonard, and Jim Leonard's considered a rising guy in the. So,
right.
I mean, okay. There's just a lot going on here that is presumed that he's going to have to excel at right out of the gate, and it's just it would be historic if he were able to pull it off.
Yeah, I know you were there covering basically the news conferences, so you would have been there for Brady. I assume his first address to the media on Wednesday, and I thought, let me backtrack a little. When he was hired, just going off news conferences, I've not shaken the man's hand. I've not met him, so I haven't sat with him in private or anything, or even talked to him on the radio show at this point. So I'm very much a stranger, and he is to me. So news conferences as the coordinator Mondays, and I always felt like he was just going to give you every possible answer to any question, and it seemed just sort of, I don't know, a little manic is too strong, but just a little much. And it's like, man, you certainly cannot be like that with players, right? And I thought on Wednesday, maybe it's because it was early in the day and he hadn't had 12 caffeine drinks already.
Just 8.
Yeah, right.
By then for him.
I thought he was much more measured than I have experienced him before in news conference settings, which I say as a compliment, because I think it's necessary for the head coach to set a certain tone. Not that he's going to talk the same way to you guys in the media or even me on a radio show as he will to the team, but I was encouraged by I just thought his tone seemed more appropriate for head coach of the Buffalo Bills.
It's dangerous for me to say or to project that the way he talks to the media is an indication as to what type of communicator he is. But it is a glimpse. And I will say that among the media, we're kind of critical, people who transcribe his interviews, which we do, it's a nightmare. Because he does exactly like you say. He there's a lot of filler words. He talks really fast. He starts a lot of sentences he doesn't finish. He's got a lot in his head that he's trying to get out. And it does come off as manic. I think that's a great way to put it. And we saw also, he's an emotional guy. He had to, I don't know what it would be, like a hoot or what, but there were a few times in that introductory news conference where he goes, whoo, because he's got to collect himself. Yep. He's about to cry, at the mention of his wife, at the mention of Josh Allen, at the mention of the opportunity. Whoo, and I get it. It's a big emotional day, but it was kind of like, oh man, let's settle down here now. And I'm sure he will be, but I'm interested to see what this guy's, pregame speech is like. And the cameras are in the locker room now, and the team videotapes everything. And whether it's an embedded or behind the blue and red or whatever shows that these guys do, I want to see this guy's pregame speech. I want to see his postgame speech, and it'll be interesting. But maybe and maybe the players resonate. Maybe obviously talking to the media is one thing, and we're trying to get information on the left guard competition. But behind closed doors, or talking in front of 53 dudes at 12:30 on Sunday, maybe he tears the paint off the walls. and that I'm looking forward to seeing that.
All right, Tim. Any big plans for the weekend? You're going to practice tomorrow, probably, right? That's
Practice tomorrow morning, and I'll be writing something. I'm on the prowl for something to write about tomorrow. I don't know what it'll be, but we'll find something.
All right, you see Graham coming. Run the other way, everybody. He's going to write about you. All right, Tim. Thanks a lot for this. Really, it was really nice to catch up on the air. It's been years since we've done this on the radio. I think. I mean, I can't remember the last time. It's that long. So.
Probably something about Baby Joe Macy.
Probably. Holy cow. It's like a lifetime ago. Well, glad to have you on the team. I don't know if you have a locker yet or whatever, but, it's good to have you around, man.
Thanks, Chris. Good to be here.
That is Tim Graham from The Athletic and WGR, weekdays 1 to 3 with my old friend Brad Ryder as well here. All right. A lot maybe to digest there. We'll pick through that and continue the conversation. Phone lines will be available to you at 803-0550 if you are so inclined to spin off of anything that Tim and I were just talking about. You are more than welcome. Mike is away today. I am the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR.
Bills players have the day off. They'll be back on the practice field tomorrow morning. And stay tuned. We're going to get the latest with Buffalo as Sal Capaccio is going to join the show in just about a half hour at 5 p.m. It was not a complete day off, though, for Buffalo, as they did sign cornerback DJ Miller and have released safety Wande Owens. Training camp coverage on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, you've got to call the Barnes Firm, 1-800-8-million. CBS is putting Tony Romo on leave until further notice following his arrest last week on suspicion of driving under the influence. In the meantime, it's going to be J.J. Watt, who was with Jim Nantz and Tracy Wolfson. Packers tight end Tucker Kraft has been activated off of PUP as he continues his recovery from a torn ACL. And then after spending some time with the Patriots coaching staff to start training camp, former NFL wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is expected to join Georgia Tech as a member of the offensive staff. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
The vibe with Coach Brady is young and fresh, I think. I think he's coming in with this young energy, just like a different insight. It's kind of like having your uncle come over, and he's a little bit younger than the older brother, and you're just going to have a good time. He's single. Not that Joe Brady's single, but you're going to be able to go out, get some ice cream, really do stuff that your parents wouldn't really allow you to do. And I think that's kind of the fun aspect that we're going to have. I think he's embracing everybody exactly for who they are and what they want to be, and I think that's going to drive the team a lot.
That is Bill's guard, offensive lineman. He's competing for the starting left guard job, vacated when David Edwards left in free agency. Alec Anderson referenced that while I was talking to Tim Graham last segment, and I don't think that there's a problem there. I am not prepared to build a case that there's trouble on the horizon because Alec Anderson talked that way about what's different now that Joe Brady is the head coach. That said, there is no doubt, very little doubt in my mind that the Bills, PR, front office, whoever, anyone who saw this, Brandon Beane, would hear that clip or watch that clip. It's from WROC TV in Rochester. Rachel Liebert is the reporter that I saw this from initially. That they're like, oh, geez. Oh, no. We did not need that. We did not need someone to say it's fun because they're going to let us do kind of what we want. You go for ice cream. And I know Alec Anderson did not sound like a 9-year-old like I just made myself sound, or at least the most like a 9-year-old that a 61-year-old man can make himself sound. But I have very little. I can't say no doubt because it's possible that Bill's brass, PR, media relations, whatever, all saw that clip and went, yeah, that's fine, that's right, that's what it is. But I really doubt it. I'll bet there's somebody, there's face and hand. Oh, jeez. Why? Oh, should I call him? Do you want me to call? No, don't call him. It's not that big of a deal. But, jeez. Why did you have to do that? We've gone from Law and Order, serious, bald guy to what kind of sprinkles do you want? And nobody wants that, really, that mentality for your football team. But I feel like if the pressure of McDermott's personality was, and this has been I think Tim has written about it, Tyler Dunn has written 50 billion words about it. Maybe a slight exaggeration, but go along TD. There's a lot of words there. McDermott, it spilled over. His being as tightly wound and worried about every detail and just the way he was meticulous in planning that it did sort of what flows out from there is tension. That I gotta make sure I got. My door's only open halfway, not all the way. It's supposed to be open all the way. Whatever. I'm making things up out of thin air. I have no idea McDermott would care about doors, but I'm just saying. Like it seems like under him, like every little thing had to be buttoned up and right, like all the time, and that can produce, I think, ultimately tension within your team. Like, I'm not saying that's why Brandon Cooks doesn't catch the ball against Denver or Kincaid likewise against Kansas City the year prior. But if you're tight, the coach could have an impact on that. And maybe even and probably positively does too, being prepared and meticulous and all that. Like, those are good habits to have for players too. So I'm sure it helped more than it hurt, but it's possible that the tension just was too much for some people. And so I think a breath of fresh air is a good idea coming from that. So I don't want to take what Alec Anderson said and go to some crazy talk show Stephen A. Smith extreme, like, the inmates are running the asylum now over at One Bills Drive. That's not me. I don't believe that. But maybe the thing I'm most sure of is that somebody over there was troubled by because I've already heard it. The quote tweet, the tweets around this, the replies to that video are already like, oh, here we go. These guys are going to do whatever they want. Discipline is out the window and all that kind of. And like, I don't want to be the old guy that falls for that. I think it's too simplistic.
I think you're right. I think that I think that you're correct that somebody there is concerned about it. But is this not, from what we've heard from them, everything they've said and implied in all of their actions this offseason, this is an unfiltered version of all of that. And it's Anderson essentially saying what everybody from the team has said about what's going to be different. Like, it's going to personable and Brady's going to be, everybody's going to be more comfortable in their own skin, whatever. And I don't know how you could, if you're working in that organization, think that you're not going to get that out of somebody at some point. That's not going to be a thing that gets said or is pointed out in not the clean way that you sort of want to manufacture.
Right.
And so when you get the guy talking about how he's my single uncle and, I think you have to understand that that's where you're flying into when you make this decision and talk about it the way you did. But I think that you also have to understand that for a fan base and an organization that has been so used to the McDermott lifestyle, that sort of buttoned up thing, going from that to this, what does that clip from Anderson make you think of? It makes me think of the Eagles and Nick Sirianni. And, like, that scares the crap out of me, to be frank. And it doesn't have to be true. It's probably just because it's juxtaposed with this McDermott life that we all led for nearly a decade. But it's there, and it feels like that. And it could maybe feel like that to a guy on the team. That, even if Brady's just an average coach or an average player's coach even, it could feel coming from the McDermott world, and we don't know what that was like as the players, but you can assume that there will be differences. Mm-hmm. And what those may be, those players may feel like, whew, now I can do whatever. And like that, that's scary in some ways.
Yeah, because you definitely do not want them to just do whatever.
Right.
Like that is not going to, that doesn't work, I don't think. I think I'm pretty confident in that. And again, I don't think that this clip is evidence, and you're not saying it is.
No.
That is going to be the case. So let's all just sort of collect ourselves. It's the third day of training camp. They're not even practicing today. But I feel like that landing now when the fan base is already – is the fan base on edge? the fan base is edgy, right?
Yeah.
Like the PSL holders versus the general public, like everybody's just sort of at each other.
Right.
It's all the fan base, whether you go to the stadium or not, you're in the fan base. And so you've got these like warring factions of the fan base. I think that's made things edgy. The uniform debate has made everybody edgy. And so like along comes like I love Graham's phrasing, stepping on rakes. They just keep stepping. Like this is, I'd say, the squabble. I don't know. I don't know what they could have done differently about. I think they handled the red and blue practice followed by an open practice that everyone would have access to. I think they handled that as well as they could have. Like that maybe that was a rake that they unavoidably were going to step on no matter what. Like they're going to have this practice. You want to respect the people who paid the freight, so you get first dibs. You get to come in. Like maybe they didn't see coming any backlash from those people. What do you mean I don't get to go to a second practice? I mean, oh my God, you stop being such a glutton. So that's a little less on them, I think. The uniform thing is entirely their own making. And, something like this is maybe it's a small rake and it maybe doesn't hit you in the face. It catches you in the shoulder. Maybe.
Right.
Like it's what this Anderson video talking about your uncle coming over and you get to go for ice cream now.
And it might scare you from stepping anywhere else is the thing that I think it might do more than anything is it sets a precedent or it puts a worm in the brain about how is this going to go? I don't want an Eagles-y feeling situation here.
But it is right to say they I think if they were looking for different and, if they thought that McDermott's way of doing things did cause stress and tightness and anxiety in other, in people that work there or even in the actual players, then you want to get like a little breath of air in there and like, okay, we can not be so worried about every clock showing the exact same time like I am between the microwave and the coffee maker in my kitchen. Sorry, that hits a little close to home with Owen here. Anyway, it's very interesting dynamic happening there that I think is very much like somebody out there listening to me right now thinks I'm underselling what a big deal this is. And I very well might be. But I don't think it's worth drawing major conclusions from. But I'll bet some people are. And again, I'll end right where I started, which is someone over there is got their head in their face in their hands, like, oh, dude, we did not need you to. No, it's not that big a deal. But geez, not now, kind of thing. All right, we'll hit up a timeout. Sale coming up in about 15, 20 minutes. For I'd say the latest, but there's some roster stuff that's happened in the last 24 hours, but they're not on the field today. They'll be back at it tomorrow. Then off again Sunday. Pads, I think, expected Monday. So anyway, we'll get to Sal here in just a bit. Mike is away today. I'm the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR. Folks, Bulldog here for Window Nation. There are some things around Happy to have you along for the ride with us here on a Friday. Owen Parker handling the video stream today. Zach Jones along as always. I am the Bulldog. Mike is away today at the National. Sal's son and his wife, mother, well, his son's mother. It doesn't have to be so confusing. I don't. Anyway, they're at the same thing. I don't know if they're in touch, but and I don't even know if Mike knew that they were going. I'm trying to remember if I mentioned it to him because I saw Sal on the morning show talking about Max's some of the things he's collected and that they're really into this thing and that Yana and Max were going. And I knew Mike was going. He took these 2 days off to go take part in that. Mostly, I think, at least look, Mike's plan was he had some stuff that he was even ahead of him. Either way, he had stuff that was hopefully going to get sold at this event. And then he decided to go sort of, I don't know, babysit it, I guess, and also just kind of take part. It's a really huge scene in Chicago. So anyway, I'm trying to remind myself to mention to Sal because he didn't know when I saw him earlier today. We had a work meeting and Sal didn't know that Mike was away at that as well. One quick note here, Adam Schefter, within the last half an hour or so, tweeted that former Bills head coach, we're just talking about Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott is visiting today with the Los Angeles Rams. McDermott is using his time off to see how a few teams, such as the Rams, operate. We talked about this earlier in the week. Mike asked me, like, pick a team. I said I'd be stunned if he doesn't work next year. Like, I think next coaching cycle, he will. I think he'll get back. I think he'll be sought after. I mean, he's got an excellent record, especially if you're a team that needs sort of the culture-y, sort of like, well, someone who is meticulous and detail-oriented. And when he asked me, like, what team makes sense, the first team I mentioned was the Eagles. And I feel like there's history there, and I could kind of see it. I could see the Eagles having I don't think they'll have a terrible year, but they could have just a good 11 wins maybe. But if they flame out in the playoffs, I could see change coming there. So I might like McDermott for that spot in the long run. But he's out watching Sean McVay and the Rams today, at least according to Adam Schefter. Timeout here. Sal Capaccio back to the Bills right after this on WGR.
Looking forward to the weekend. Yesterday was Thursday. Today, yeah, it's Friday.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Excited. We so excited. We gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday.
I'm itching inside. My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I took Deborah, went to the liquor store. I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
For more comfort.
Now's the perfect time to make yourself comfortable with a new electric heating and cooling system from Belknap.
In Western New York, summer and winter bring extreme temperature conditions. Make yourself comfortable with Mitsubishi electric heat pumps, designed to keep your home cool in the summer and warm in the winter, no matter how hot or cold it gets outside. Call Belknap today to learn more.
I'm Gary Garfel, president of Belknap. We work on your schedule. We don't charge more for weekends and evenings. That's why we say,
give Belknap a ring.
No practice today for the Buffalo Bills, but don't worry, they'll be right back at it tomorrow morning. We will, though, get the latest with Buffalo. Stay tuned. Sal Capaccio is going to join the show next, and it wasn't a complete day off, at least not for the front office, as they do make some signings, namely cornerback DJ Miller, and they also, going with that, have released safety Wande Owens. Training camp coverage on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, you've got to call the Barnes Firm, 1-800-8-MILLION. Former Bills head coach Sean McDermott, it's not a job interview, but he is visiting with the LA Rams per Adam Schefter. He is seeing how Sean McVay and his staff do things. CBS is putting Tony Romo on leave until further notice following his arrest last week on suspicion of driving under the influence. In the meantime, it is going to be J.J. Watt, who is with Jim Nantz and Tracy Wolfson. And then after spending some time with the Patriots staff, helping them out at the start of camp, former NFL wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is expected to join Georgia Tech as a member of the offensive staff. Bison's on the road tonight versus Lehigh Valley. First pitch for that one is at 6:45. The Yankees, they had some early afternoon baseball against the Cubs today. New York does take down Chicago 2-0. The Jays are going to host the Cardinals at 7:07, and then 7:10, the Mets. They are home against the Marlins. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Looking forward to the weekend. Yesterday was Thursday. Today, yeah, it's Friday.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
We so excited. We gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday.
Glad to have you with us on this Friday. Sometimes I just need to hear the jams. That's all there is to it. Good to have you with us on this Friday afternoon. Mike has been away the last couple of days. He'll be back on Monday. I am the Bulldog. Joining us now on the West Her Hotline is our Sal Capaccio. And Sal, I mean, I know how hard you work. You wear many hats. But I've got to say, on behalf of all three of us, I'm very disappointed. I keep checking WGR550.com to see what I expected to be your in-depth analysis of our preseason fantasy football draft. it's been 90 minutes and there's still nothing there. So, I mean, I don't know. I know the lights are going to go out eventually for the weekend, and I hope I'm not left wanting.
I don't know if I'm quite going to get to that analysis anytime soon, to be quite honest with you. I have to tell you, I spent a little bit of the last while watching the Yankees game, and they finally actually won after the ridiculousness of the last two nights. They beat the Cubs, so much better mood today than the last time we talked when they were on or playing. I did listen to the first part of your fantasy football preseason Bills draft. What was
preseason fantasy football? Bills preseason fantasy football.
Yeah, okay. I did listen to a little bit of that.
Wordy,
yes.
Well, Owen is claiming on Twitter that he dominated, but he doesn't have a quarterback, Sal. I mean,
it's too many split reps for the quarterback to be that. I don't know.
Do you have a list of actual picks you guys had?
No, we do. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to run through them all, but Owen led with Frank. First pick overall, 101 was Frank Gore Jr., which I totally respect. I would have done that.
There we go. I got it now. I'm looking at the roster.
Oh, you're looking at the okay.
Okay. I have the handwritten note here.
Sure. Yeah, that's my writing.
I mean, Gore, Bell, Coleman, Knox. Probably not as much, but
I thought
Gore,
Knox,
Bell, Coleman.
Knox was a
like
miss.
that.
Knox was a miss. I know.
Yeah.
But Michelle, Davis, Hardman, Hawes. I mean, the bottom here is going to be. Ooh, look at this. I mean, Bulldog. You got Skinner, Tomzak, Delana, Gosnell, Pettis. Yeah, Kyle. I mean, I like this a lot. All right, so you don't have a quarterback. So what you should have done, Owen, was taken Trace McSorley, the Bills' offensive assistant, who was formerly at Penn State, because if they get into a situation where they need somebody, they might just suit the damn guy up and play him in the last
See, Sal, this is why I needed to. I should have briefed with you before we did this draft. I would have had maybe that would have been called an unfair advantage, though. You're too knowledgeable.
The Bills actually had some tryout receivers yesterday. Today, as you know, they signed Dante Pettis, but actually Trace McSorley was throwing the ball. He was throwing it. Yeah. I'm like, we went over there. I'm like, boy, that guy's throwing the ball really good. I thought he was a tryout QB. He was not. It was Trace McSorley who's on staff.
Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline with us. Off day for the Bills, not on the field today. They'll be back at it tomorrow. And pads Monday, we think, or do we know that, Sal?
I think Monday. I don't think anybody's confirmed that. You have to have a 3-day acclimation period. So I think they could actually go tomorrow, but they probably wouldn't do that. My guess is they'd go uppers, like just shells tomorrow, to get used to it a little bit, and then they would probably go pads on Monday. But no, nothing's confirmed. The schedule gives us a clue, too, because they have off today, back tomorrow, off on Sunday, probably meaning day before they put pads on.
All right, very good. I trust that you've heard or seen the Alec Anderson clip. Do you know what I'm referring to when I say that?
Yes, the one they played it earlier today on Brad and Tim.
Right, like talking about what's different, like what it's like with Joe Brady as the coach. Have you been active enough online to see any? I imagine there's some segments of the fan base that are completely freaking out. That the play. Oh, anything goes now. Discipline is out the window, and I'm not reacting that way at all. But I do imagine that someone at the Bills, like that, media relations or anywhere, is sort of like, I did not really need Alec Anderson to make it sound like we can have fun now.
Yeah, I mean, Alec, he's kind of a straight shooter. And, when he talks, sometimes a lot of just things come out, and he's just going to kind of say what he thinks. And I don't think that he was trying to say that either, but it did come off a little bit like, well, under the previous coach, we couldn't be ourselves. I don't think he was saying that because, a lot of guys said that Sean McDermott opened up a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Remember Jordan Phillips saying to us when he came back for like the 10th time, he said, he said, I like coming here. In fact, the question was to him, why are you the best version of yourself in Buffalo? And he said, because I can be myself. And that was always interesting to me.
Yeah.
Right. And he said, as long as you're respectful and on time, you can be yourself. So I don't think that's the case, but I do think that there's an aura around Joe Brady of a little more of a laid back attitude than there is around Sean McDermott. I think Sean McDermott, around him, there's an aura of making sure you're doing everything right all the time, in step, in line, and with that can come a certain type of pressure. right? And the valve has been kind of turned a little bit to have that relief under Joe Brady.
Yeah, and I think I'm choosing to think that that's a positive. Like I think the Bills were seeking that. Like if you want change, but you're gonna promote the general manager to president of football operations and promote the offensive coordinator to head coach, there better be something that's different. And, like, I don't know, and I don't even know if you know. I mean, you're obviously around the team and have been around this team way, way more than someone like myself was, and therefore certainly way more than fans would be. To be able to speak to whether guys felt like this pressure from McDermott just because of how he was, how buttoned up he was, and how meticulous he was, that can lead to a certain degree of tension, I think, maybe. And I would understand wanting to, I like how you put it, let's turn that a little bit. I don't need this valve, I don't need this whistle blowing full blow here. Let's just turn it back a little bit and see if that, easing that a little bit gets us a better result.
Yeah, that's right. And, the longer, obviously, I would probably go without saying that the Bills won the Super Bowl. Sean McDermott would still be the head coach of the Bills, right? I don't think it was necessarily results-based of why he was fired. Yes, you have this, we got to the proverbial playoff wall, as Terry Pagula put it, right? So, yeah, of course, that's the bottom line, like how far you got or didn't get. But I do believe that over time, getting to there and not ultimately breaking through, every year that happened, that pressure built more and more. And I think the feeling was from the organization that it was just so much pressure. There was so much, you couldn't get any, you had to do something about it. You just couldn't keep going that way and have that keep happening again. So there had to be some sort of popping the balloon, relief, and giving yourself kind of a little bit of a restart and a breath of fresh air, come up for water a little bit, because it just felt like everybody was really kind of drinking from the fire hose all the time and never being able to, get it out of their mouth.
What are your early impressions here? We talked more with Paul about the interviews. Brady on although you would have been there for that because it was before practice, but the others, you were out watching practice while I think the other guys were talking, if I remember, or talking to players, whatever. Anyway, Brady early on here. What any impressions? Is it too early to have an impression on Brady as just a couple days into camp here?
He's a guy we already know. So it's funny, like when Sean came in, you had to make these impressions. You had to have these interpretations, whatever, analysis of him and say, okay, what's he like as a head coach? You get to talk to him for the first few times. You'd never been around him. He came from a different organization. What's he like? What's he like in press conferences? What's he like when he's on the field? Where's he walking to? Who's he dealing with? When you hear his interactions with players or other media or coaches, what's it like? That's tougher to do with Joe. Joe's been here. We know Joe already. Like, we have relationships with him in the media. To me, and I would think a lot of media would say the same thing of this question, Bulldog, and to say it this way, which is, like, there's kind of there's nothing new we're going to learn from Joe other than until we get to the season, how he manages a game. He's the one calling timeouts. He's the one clock managing the game. Otherwise, I mean, Joe Brady's running. He's running the team kind of the way that we saw him run the offense, and his interactions with us is the same. He's the same guy. So I can't get anything new from Joe Brady, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand. I would just tell you this, because I think I've said this to you, that one big question, it wouldn't rise to the level of being a concern, but a question I had about Brady was how he would handle his communication. And I know I can't know how he's handling it with players, but I thought on Wednesday, Sal, I don't think I said this to you yet, because again, I don't think we talked about really the interviews. It was more about, stuff that's happening on the field with the players. I thought Brady came off on Wednesday more, he was more calm. I feel like those Monday afternoons after games when he would talk, I often felt like he was giving any question that's asked every possible answer. Like, well, it's this and this and this and this and this, and of course it all falls on me. It's like kind of a word salad-y kind of, just a very almost manic stream of consciousness kind of thing. And I thought he was much more measured on Wednesday, and I take that as a very positive sign. As I think, like, being in command of the whole team, I think requires more of a calming presence than someone who's just sort of, wound up all the time.
Oh, for sure. And I think we'd all know and think that when he spoke to us in the past, he's trying to kind of toe the line of, I have to be a good assistant here, right? I'm the assistant. Sean McDermott is the guy running the show. Like, I don't want to kind of step out of line and say things that, Sean McDermott, my boss, doesn't want me to say to the media. So what's the best way to do that? Say nothing and just stay in one course. And, everything's got to be, yep, it's on me, it's accountability, it's on me, it's on me, it's on me, and all that. And you do that, and you say it one way. Once you become the head guy, like, you're the guy in charge. Like, the people are looking to you for that. Now, look, Sean was very buttoned up too, and he kind of did that. He just didn't give you anything. Bobby Babich was great as a coordinator to talk to the media. He gave you a lot of insight. But there were always times where he would say, that's a question for Sean. That's a question for Sean. Like, you knew they knew what they were supposed to say or not say and talk about or not talk about. And now you get a coordinator becoming the head coach. Now you can talk about that stuff. You could talk a little bit about injuries. You asked Joe Brady last year about a guy who was injured. He's like, that's not for me. That's for Sean to talk about, which makes sense. That's what the head coach should do. But now he has a little more freedom, a little more room. And I think as you do that and as you expand, then that allows you to open up. I also think Jim Leonard's not afraid to talk a little bit about it. And I don't think Joe cares if Jim Leonard does as much as Sean did that Bobby Babich or Joe Brady did, if that makes sense.
I followed all that. That's how my brain works. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline with us here on a day off for the Bills. They're back on the practice field in Rochester tomorrow. All right, to the roster. I've been talking about Igbinosun competing for Hairston and maybe taking that job. It's early. It's only 2 days in. But I've seen you with, like, how did you phrase it? I saw on Twitter, like, maybe people have kind of forgotten about Hairston. Mm-hmm. Like, a part of that construct to me is that Hairston was not this defensive coach's pick. And that Igbinosun is, and that could give him a leg up. But maybe I think I probably have been rushing that.
And I've said from the beginning, like, I think Max Hairston is the starter. I do not think they drafted Davison Igbinosun to start over Max Hairston. I believe they did draft him for what they say, which is we didn't have this in the room. And, oh, by the way, if he can play, then who knows where it goes. Maybe he is the starter eventually. Like, that could happen. But this comes down to, what do they really believe about Max Hairston? Now, they may believe he's a really good football player but has injury concerns and availability concerns. That could be real. And that's why you draft somebody in the second round. But even after drafting a guy in the second round, you still have a hole in your depth corner position. I keep saying, who's your fourth outside corner? You don't know. If they don't draft a guy pretty early, think about it this way, Bulldog. If they don't draft a guy in the second round, what are you looking at outside corner? You're looking at a mid-round and a late-round guy, and you're like, I don't know about that. I think they really needed to shore up. Brandon Beane said it was the number one need on their team. And I think that also got to, whether it's you or anybody else, when the GM comes out and says the number one need, people think, well, they must not like what they have there at the top.
Right, that's exactly what I did. I think I fell for that.
And really what he was saying was, look at our roster. Look at the top to bottom of every position. That's the one position that we don't have anything after the starter. We don't. What do we have? Who's the outside corner beyond that? There's going to be injuries. There's going to be people who have to play. And I said to you a few times, I really like Max Hairston's OTAs and his mini camp. And then I go out there, last couple of days, and again, he's just so. And what I wrote on Twitter was, I think he's a bit of a forgotten man, obviously because of the things we're talking about. But his change of direction is elite. It's effortless, and you can just see the speed all the time, the athleticism. And then Jim Leonard says, right out, he's a man corner. And what I liked about him in college and was the way he took the ball away. He said it is very hard to find guys with these kind of athletic traits to be a man corner.
See, that was, I saw that too, coupled with what you said. That was the one that made me go, ooh, I probably was hurrying. Because man, I mean, that's a big feature, at least it's expected that they're going to play a lot more man, right, with Jim Leonard here, and hearing him compliment the player that I've been sort of, I guess, downgrading, for lack of a better way to put it, gave me some pause. Like, okay, if you believe in this guy as a man corner, then, at most we maybe have a battle there, but it's not one that Hairston has to be behind the 8 ball, and just because he was drafted before, this coaching staff was in place.
No, that's right. I mean, I think Davis Igbinosun's still going to get a shot to see if he can play, but this would require Max Hairston to falter, not just Igbinosun to be good.
Right.
Even if Davis Igbinosun looks like, this is a guy, he's a player, we can put him out there. You still got to get to, but are we putting him over Max Hairston? How's he look? And if Max is doing everything he's supposed to do, I just don't see how you're doing that necessarily. The Bills could be very set up here. In the best case scenario is, hey, you have a guy in Christian Benford that you just paid a lot of money to, is locked up long term. And oh, by the way, I don't even think his contract extension actually kicks in until next year. He's locked up at good money for you. And then you have Max Hairston going into only the second year of a four-year rookie deal with a fifth-year option
right,
after this, so 5 years. And then you have Davis Igbinosun. I mean, you could be nice and set up for what you want at the top and a little bit of depth.
Continuing on the defensive side of the ball, there's been, a lot of airtime devoted. At least the name has been said a lot. Caleb Elarms-Orr. Sal, I got one thing I'm wondering. 4th-round pick. Not that it's unprecedented or anything for a mid-round rookie, especially at linebacker, to show up, but and be ready to be on the field. But I'm wondering, do you have any idea, with the skill set he seems to have and the intangibles, captain, lead, whatever, calling the plays, seems very much on top of the defense and the calls so far as a rookie? How in the world? I know linebacker's not a premium position, but did everybody miss on him? Is there a reason he fell to the 4th round?
I think that's part of it. Linebacker's not a premium position. It's not like teams are out there drafting them all the time in the 1st round. I think, they're going for the edge rushers, the DBs, the quarterbacks, obviously. Feels like, that's a big part of it. And then, coming out of college, there was a question on him. The biggest question on him was his instincts, his ability to diagnose a play, get to the spot. Yeah, he can get there fast. He's fast, and if he sees it, he's going to go and he's going to get there. But can he see it quick enough? Can he shut a block quick enough? Can he take the right angle? And, you start to mix all that together. I'm going to go back and see, how many linebackers were even taken in front of him. It can't be too many, to be quite honest with you, right? So, even though it's the 4th round, it's probably not necessarily this huge gap between all these linebackers before him. But he also, he also played 2 years at Cal, 2 years at TCU. He's been in different systems. He's understood how to kind of translate. Very productive at TCU. So I don't think there should be much of a question about whether or not he can handle calling the plays. Jim Leonard said he is giving these guys a lot of volume, more volume than this defense has more volume than what they're used to in the old scheme, and he's throwing it all at them. And so far, it feels like he's checking all those boxes.
Yeah. Is he, do you think, obviously the opportunity with both Dorian Williams and Terrell Bernard being slow played at this point, I don't think there's alarms going off about either guy at this point. But I guess if we get through the middle of next week and these guys are still not in teamwork, then maybe alarms will start to sound. I'm wondering if you're starting to think that Caleb Elarms-Orr ends up on the field regardless of whether or not Williams and Bernard are both healthy.
I don't know. That's tough. See, this is going to depend on. So the part of this question that's interesting is, could he be on the field in lieu of one of them? What if both are healthy? Could he be a third linebacker on the field? Those are two different scenarios, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I do think it's possible he beats out Dorian Williams. If for some reason he is on the field other than Terrell Bernard, it's got to be because Bernard's not healthy. I just can't see that scenario.
Yeah.
You just paid Bernard big money.
He's a captain.
He's been your team captain.
Yeah.
I think he fits in this system better. So what are you doing there, right? It just feels weird. So it would have to be. And if that is the case, then what are you doing with Terrell Bernard? At some point you just got to, move on from him. But But I just don't feel like it could happen like that. Williams is different. He's going into the last year. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. You can start getting on with things there, and he's been a good backup anyway for you. He can still be a really good special teams player for you. He's got a role on this team no matter what. So you could do that with him. But what if they both play? You could put Caleb Elam-Orr as your third linebacker. I mean, they're going to play a 3-4. They're going to use a nickel corner or maybe a hybrid safety sometimes, a nickel safety with Jalen Kilgore. They could use a third linebacker. Everything we've thought about and know about Sean McDermott's system, you just have to throw out the window. There's a lot of possibilities on how they could do this. So, yes, I think ultimately he finds his way on the field in some capacity. It doesn't have to be every down, every play right away.
Right.
But I think by the end of the year, you may see that.
Overall, the linebacking depth, like, do you feel like there's enough there? I guess the questions about Williams and Bernard need definitive answers before you can maybe rule on whether there's enough there. But I know Shaq Thompson, right, is still out there. He's one of the guys on the list that was playing a prominent role on this team, especially on defense, that still hasn't found a job. Do you think it's maybe – I guess their actions will tell us. If they sign Shaq Thompson, then they're probably telling us something.
Probably. So I look at Shaq Thompson the same way I look at Brandon Cooks at wide receiver. You don't sign Shaq Thompson unless you really need to sign Shaq Thompson. You don't sign Brandon Cooks unless you really need to sign Brandon Cooks. And the reason is you don't want to block reps for guys that you need to see what you have in them. Like, you got guys in your team that need to play right now. They need to play in the preseason. You need to see what they can do, put them in their system. You know Shaq Thompson can play in the NFL. You know Brandon Cooks can play in the NFL. The only danger is that they could sign with somebody else, of course, if you really want them. But you can't do that. You don't sign Shaq Thompson and then he's fighting for reps with Jimmy Charlo, right? That's not happening. If Shaq Thompson signed, he's playing. He's probably starting, actually. He's not going to be a backup necessarily. So you can't do that right now. You just can't. So you're going to go with Bernard and Williams. Let's see where that health situation goes. And you're right. If they go out and sign Shaq, then they're probably telling us something about that. You have Caleb Elam-Orr. We've talked about those three. Then you have Joe Andreessen, who's now going into his third year. He's been Joe Andreessen was like number 2 or 3 in the league in special teams tackles last year. Like, he has a very good role, and he can play both sides. He can play middle. He can play weak side. He's done that. He can call the defense. And I'm telling you, Bulldog, like, I go back to last year. I thought Keontae Jenkins might have made the team last year if he didn't get hurt. Like, they like Keontae Jenkins. He's an athletic linebacker. He can play that will linebacker spot. I think they feel more comfortable about that depth than we would, looking at it just on names on paper. They signed Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, again, mostly special teams. He's got some skin in the game, but I think they feel better about that depth than us looking at it as a roster.
Practice tomorrow. You got a busy day, right? You got an appearance tomorrow afternoon too, right? Are you going to the Wings Flights of Hope event?
I am, yeah. I will be. I'll get up bright and early in the morning, and I'll head over to Rochester. I will cover practice, and then I will get back here, and then I'll be at the Wings meeting place on California in Orchard Park. It is their fundraiser that's going on tomorrow night, so come on by, say hi, and we're a part of that at WGR. So really great cause, and can't wait to go over there tomorrow night.
All right, Sal, sounds good. Enjoy all of that, and we'll catch up next week.
You got it, man.
That is our Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. Training camp coverage here on WGR is presented by Fiegel, Carr, and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, you've got to call the Barnes Firm, 1-800-8-million. All right, you know the drill. Anything we've just talked about, anything we've covered all day, really anything at all. 803-0550 is the number. Lines are open. Mike is away today. I am the Bulldog. Thanks for listening to WGR.
It is a day off for the Bills players. They'll return to the practice field tomorrow morning, but it was not an off day for the Bills front office. They do make a few signings, namely cornerback DJ Miller. He is brought in, and they have released safety Wande Owens. And then last night, they did release wide receiver Jalen Virgil and signed wide receiver Dante Pettis. Training camp coverage on WGR is presented by Figo Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And also by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, you've got to call the Barnes Firm, 1-800-8-million. CBS is putting Tony Romo on leave until further notice following his arrest last week on suspicion of driving under the influence. In the meantime, it is going to be J.J. Watt, who is with Jim Nantz and Tracy Wolfson. And then after spending some time with the Patriots and their coaching staff during training camp, former NFL wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is expected to join Georgia Tech as a member of their offensive staff. The Bisons are on the road versus Lehigh Valley. First pitch for that one at 6:45. Yankees have wrapped up their game against the Cubs. New York takes that one 2-0. The Jays will host the Cardinals at 7:07, and then at 7:10, the Mets. They are home against the Marlins. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
I'm itching inside. My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did?
He's taking advantage of it.
I took Deborah.
He wants that role. He wants to be a lead communicator for a defense. That's what he's done in the past. He doesn't blink. He's very low emotion, I would say, on the field, like as far as just retaining information, talking, communicating with me, with the position coaches, with other guys. He's definitely taken advantage of the opportunity and more reps.
That is Bills defensive coordinator Jim Leonhard talking about rookie linebacker Caleb Elarms-Orr, fourth-round pick in this past April's draft. Just talking about him with Sal Capaccio, and there's just laying it out for you, like the opportunities there. Sal sort of slow played it a little bit because I said, like, is he just gonna take one of these jobs? But definitely not in the case of Bernard. Like, Sal thinks Bernard is, and that tracks. I mean, they committed to him. I respect Sal's opinion that his belief is that he actually is a better fit in this defense than he was in McDermott's defense as a Mike, as a middle linebacker. I just said Mike like I'm one of those football guys. Because Bernard was always a little undersized for that. So maybe this is a better way for him to go, but we've yet to see him in any teamwork yet. I wanted to maybe take a hard left turn while I've got Owen has been here today handling the video stream. Zach is here like always, but you've been hosting all spring and summer, right? The Extra Point Show. So yep. Both of you. So Owen's normally on a part of the morning show. He does the video stream for the morning show, and with vacations and whatnot, like there's airtime. And of course, even if you weren't on the air at all on the morning show, you'd be paying attention to what's happening on the morning show. I'm just wondering, in both of you guys' experience on your own shows, how much Sabres you've been talking the last couple of weeks? Is it just a dead zone at this point, pretty much? Like, if we pretty much succumb to the football machine? This is the first time, I think, this week that I'm even bringing the Sabres up other than in passing. And I'm just sort of wondering if it certainly doesn't feel top of mind anymore. That doesn't mean that you guys haven't been talking about it, but it seems like we've hit the sort of the dead zone.
It does feel like we did. For me, it was almost me and Mike took a vacation at the same time. We did not hang out together, but we both took the week off, and that felt like the final run of like, okay, well, Hellebuck's not happening. We're on to the next, and we move on. So yeah, like the Sabres, I feel like we're all just kind of waiting for like anything new, and it's not like hockey's totally taken time off. I mean, Macklin Celebrini got paid $18.8 million per year, which, oh my gosh, like those contracts are rising.
Thanks, Flyers.
Yeah, boy, here we go.
Holy crap!
But like, I think too though, at least for me with the Sabres, like it's been so nice. I haven't had to like talk about the Bills in their quote unquote dead period where it's June and I'm like, I mean, I guess we're going to talk about Steven Gosnell. Like, I guess we're going to take wide receiver 4 for a ride here. Like, right. So now it's like, almost nicely. Like they've just gone back. They're going to have their off season. We don't have to worry about them, and it's been good. But yeah, all week I have not really thought about the Sabres at all.
Yeah, I think I agreed. It's been probably 2 weeks since we've really had any more than a 4-minute discussion about the Sabres in the morning. I think it's probably a little bit of the Bills are back and like it's training camp. Like just obviously that's going to dominate. But I think it's also just fatigue of like, I think it was pretty much all offseason. Like they're going to do something huge.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And they're just kind of there now. And like Hellebuck's still out there, but the Larkin thing, like that never even, he's still on Detroit.
Yeah.
And
they wished him happy birthday yesterday.
They did do that.
I did see that.
Smooth.
Yeah, nicely done. And like Jason Robertson signed a 1-year deal to avoid arbitration, and there's just not stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that there was a little bit maybe of disappointment from Sabres fans, like, all right, I guess we're gonna just relent for a few weeks here. But I mean, I tweeted on the first day of camp, I guess Tuesday, there's a clip of Zellweger that came out of him just training like with some Power Edge Pro stuff, and I drooled over that for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've not done much Sabres talk.
Yeah.
We've not. I miss it. You know, you guys know me.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to even bring it up now. It feels very it feels familiar, and that is not a good thing. That it feels familiar, because and this doesn't mean it's gonna be bad, that it's gonna turn out badly for them. But I think if you really were paying attention to even the trade deadline, but then into the summer, into the draft, beyond the draft, into free agency, I think there's some dot connecting that I think you can do that in my opinion isn't flimsy at all, that indicates that they wanted to do, whether it was, I mean, Hellebuck obviously would be a whale. That's a huge move. That's like big news in the NHL if a goalie of that caliber, former MVP just last season, season before last, gets traded. That's a huge deal. So that is the big swing if they would have pulled that off, or if they still do pull that off. The thing that I think gives me some pause about the whole thing is, like, I think a lot of fans all along felt like, let Tuck go. We've got the kids, and don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. You know, Byram was in a sort of different category, and I like the Zellweger idea as an idea to sort of bridge the gap until Mertka or Kleber or even the kid from this year, Rudolph, are ready to come in and play top 4 minutes for you. I like Zellweger, and maybe he'll be better than just a useful bridge. But, you know, to me, that's a reasonable plug-and-play replacement. Is he Bowen Byram? Of course not. But I think the skill sets are comparable. Even, like, the positives and the negatives even are comparable. Like, offensively gifted, puck mover, defensively, maybe not the most aware. I feel like that's Byram, for $9 million less a year. So, like, full speed ahead there. But I think, aside from the fans who were like, let the kids do it, I don't want to pay Tuck, I think if you think like the plan has fallen into place for them, I think you're mistaken. Because their actions, like, I believe they really were ready to trade for Vincent Trocheck. Not to be a part, like to be their 15th forward, but because they were going to do something that would remove a couple of guys and create a vacuum that you needed Trocheck to slide in and fill for you. So if you were going to do that, and I know I feel like I know they did legwork on figuring out if Trocheck would want to come here, and I think he did, and that they were ready, but they needed to do the other thing. The other thing didn't happen. What it all tells you is they wanted to do the other thing.
Right.
So, like, I don't think you can be like a super plugged in Sabres fan and go, oh, they've executed their plan perfectly, because their plan here is basically the fallback is, oh, the kids are great and we're just going to do it with that, and that'll be fine. And that's what feels very Sabres-y to me, because it's still for whatever reason, whether it's palm trees and taxes or no trade clauses or whatever it is, something is in the way of you doing the thing that is going to push you forward. Like, I can't even say that they've tread water this offseason because I don't know if Zellweger hits like every bit of being a Byram replacement. I mean, that might be really remarkable. I mean, I like it as an idea and as a plan and as a fallback, but Byram was excellent for them, especially in that series against Boston. Tuck, I mean, that's 6'4", 230 on the walls, and all the King's horses and all the King's men are not going to turn Osland or Helenius into that. I mean, they're 6 foot 180. Is what we're talking. This is a very different style of player. They still may be excellent, but there's no way you can convince me that the Sabres got what they wanted out of this offseason yet, and that troubles me.
I'm more annoyed. I think I'm not necessarily troubled. I'm annoyed because, like, Owen, you were mentioning too, like it seemed like we were almost sold a big move is coming. And Bulldog, I know me and you, almost neither of us were refusing to get off of the Robert Thomas stuff. Like we had that one day, and from then on, like I was in
Robert Thomas Day. Yes, back in March.
Oh, what a day it was.
Yes, we'll always have Robert Thomas.
We'll always
Day.
have it. But I think for me, like the frustrating part has been it almost felt like a bunch of false starts. Like
right.
The natural high I got from Bo Byram's going for the 4th overall pick. I mean, me and my girlfriend have not fought that much because I'm staring at my phone for 3 hours waiting for the next move, and we maybe never fight that much again. Like I was ready to go.
Totally true. I couldn't go to sleep that night.
It was not.
I was just
happening.
waiting. Where's the next move? Here comes the next move.
It's coming, and then the next day it was like, well, it's going to be fine. And then even draft day, right? Like they make the first move, and all you hear from everyone glued into the league is they ain't done.
Right.
More's happening.
Yarmo included. Like, I'm ready to deal this thing. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then they make both selections. And we're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
This is what we did? And like, so
yeah.
The young guys, they look good. They look very good.
Sure.
My only frustration is like someone like Yuri Kulik. I don't have a better season before the blood clots to really lean on and go, well, yeah, he's a player. Like, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably still a good team, but man, it was a lot of false starts.
Yeah, I think that's my point about the frustration. Like, it felt like something was coming and it didn't happen, and people I think are a little, I don't want to say scared, but like, I know what this is.
Yeah,
I know.
I've seen this.
I know what this sounds like. I've heard this record before.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that it. I think that there were things that happened this offseason that feel like they made them worse. And like, for example, making both picks, Zellweger to like Byram to Zellweger, but I think what they did was put themselves in spots to try and hit a home run. They swung and they missed, and it hurts, but they've also stacked up even more assets to be good for a while here. And that's I don't want consolation prizes, but that's a good one as far as consolation prizes go.
Yeah.
To have a guy that, like, I wanted to trade my 9th overall pick defenseman and a good young forward off my team, but I didn't, and
now I still have them.
Now I've got those guys. And maybe they'll be more valuable in a year, or they'll just be on my team in a year.
Yeah.
And that's I feel okay with that. I think you can definitely, though, feel, as I stated, annoyed that it felt like something was right there and didn't get across the line.
I think just to wrap it, I think the future has been protected. And that's good for the future, but what about now? What about 26, 27?
Yeah.
Are you going to take a set? Because it's great, and I think as constituted, there's still a team that is capable of contending the way they did last year. But it's just a lot. It's a lot harder for me to completely get all the way there. Whereas I think a significant move would have added to that, and I'd feel much better about them slugging it out with Tampa and Florida at the top of the division. Right now, I'm almost sort of like, well, I don't know if I'm really going to be able to swim in the water that's that deep.
3-hole wild
And
card.
it feels a little, It's not, though. I mean, if any Sabres fan is out there thinking like, oh, it's just like '07 when they let Drury and Briere go and they turned the team over to Vanek, Roy, and Pominville. Like, Dahlin is still here. Thompson is still here. Zucker is still, like, they've got veteran guys on this team. That it's not like being turned over to the kids. It's just they might be leaning on one kid too many. I think is maybe where I end up. All right. Thank you for indulging me on that. Gentlemen, we'll hit up a timeout here. More coming up after this on WGR. Rolling along here on a Friday afternoon, soon to be Friday evening, although I don't know, it's after 5. Does that mean it's evening? I don't even know how that works anymore. Whatever, we're in the starting gate for the weekend. Very likely that you're listening to me and you've got plans already. But if you happen to have something fell through, free day, what do you want to do? I mentioned this with Sal is going to be out at this event tomorrow, late afternoon into the evening, 4 to 11 is the time. And it's the Wings annual fundraiser, Wings Flights of Hope fundraiser, supporting this group, provides free flights to patients in need of medical treatment. Fantastic work these folks do. I have been to events at this site, and it is, and I'm sure a lot of Bills fans. It's on California Road. I'm sure a lot of folks that go to Bills games are familiar with the spot. But it's a huge indoor, outdoor. It's a really cool scene, and you're going to get live music by. There's 5 different groups that are playing, including the legendary Cock Robin, which was a band that, like, my older cousins. Yes, I have cousins that are old, and they're still alive. They used to go see that band all around places in town that no longer exist, like the Barrelhead in West Seneca. Anyway, showing my age. So anyway, live entertainment, food, draft beer, raffles, the whole deal. So something to keep in mind. And again, Sal, I don't know what sort of official capacity he'll be there in, but Sal, I know, is going to be taking part in this event because well, one of the reasons I think we're involved with this is that this is going to be the site for our pregame coverage. I think, like because we're not, the Bills games aren't on our station anymore, so we've decided to camp out here. Lots of space. So anyway, tomorrow 4 to 11, California Road in Orchard Park, the Wings meeting place. Flights of Hope fundraiser goes tomorrow, and I would encourage you to go and check that out. We are going to take another time out and get back into some football. Tim Graham is on the team here at WGR in addition to his job at The Athletic. We'll talk with him after this on WGR.